A luxury car authority, the Archivist, has been invited by the greatest European luxury car manufacturers to discuss a common passion for beautiful vehicles and to show us the places where these jewels are formed. A grand tour of Europe that you'll be getting a taste of in this new playlist experience. Onto the container. You'll discover everything this voyage was about.
As the Motorfest archivist, I had the privilege to be invited by prestigious European car manufacturers for a special visit. This was the beginning of my European tour, and the starting point for your new car culture experience. My journey would let me spend time among the finest machines the old continent has produced. French elegance, German peak engineering.
Welcome to the Porsche Museum. First and foremost, Porsche is something you have to drive. You have to sit in, you have to feel. If you sit in the car, then you directly recognize this is a Porsche.
British craftsmanship.
Experience the bike that we already love. Character, performance, detail, quality, style.
I'll relate my journey for you, and for my archives. These are my luxury chronicles.
The voyage of our archivist. 13 events, lots of side activities and prize money to win. The Motorfest has spared no expenses on this luxury experience. Another activity awaits. The tour starts now. Our archivist has documented the whole thing, so we can share with you here in Hawaii his luxury chronicles. Each car you'll be driving in this playlist is related to our archivist journey. Get to the event tag and discover what our luxury car authority has in store for you.
My trip back to Europe would lead me first to France, with a schedule full of promise. I couldn't wait to meet the people from Bugatti, embodiment of French car luxury, and spend time with some of the most brilliant machines in the country. But my very first meeting was with an equally interesting manufacturer and a rather peculiar car. Genti Automobile and their first creation, the Accolone. My European journey was starting far from the buzzing cities, in the small village of Saint-Yor in central France. When you get these notes, driver, you'll be driving the roads of Maui in the very cars I'm writing about, to get a proper French luxury feel without leaving Hawaii or the festival. The Accolone and Genti Automobile was such an interesting starting point for my tour. A newcomer to the French luxury car market, and their very first machine. This was very exciting. I got to learn everything I needed to know about this car. A car born from the passion of a creator who dreamed of building his own luxury hypercar with 4-figure horsepower and an unparalleled power-to-weight ratio from scratch. By the time you, driver, get my notes, the result should be in your hands. Excellence, rarity, and soul. The Accolone by Genti Automobile.
Swiss luxury ride for an introduction. For the next event of this playlist, we're going deeper into the French luxury car market. Get ready to hear everything about our Archivist's second stop.
Despite its rare and premium nature, luxury cars can take many forms and come from many places. Of course, they often come from well-established luxury manufacturers, and I was about to see a lot of these on my journey. But my visit at Genti has shown us that a luxury car can bloom from the vision and passion of a single person. And today, my second stop in France has shown that luxury cars can also come from manufacturers that usually keep their distance from the luxury world. This stop was about a French everyday car manufacturer, Citroën, and their famous Citroën GT. The GT is a car which, according to its main engineer in 2008, was meant to be the supercar of 2025, the same year as this European trip. Talk about apropos. This car was originally made for a video game, but it had such an impact that they decided to make it a reality. At the time, the possibility of having the GT be mass-produced was real. But in the end, the incredible vehicle would remain a concept car for the world to admire and a very privileged few to drive. Alone and this Citroën GT, my tour was off to a great start. And it was only the beginning.
things are getting serious. You're now about to focus on the most luxurious of French luxury car brands. No need to think twice. You've already guessed it. Our next event, Bugatti, Now and Then.
At last, it was finally time for me to make a stop in Mulsanne, home of the French luxury car brand par excellence, Bugatti. There is absolutely no way I could have skipped this more than 110-year-old institution. My enthusiasm was vindicated as I got to spend some time with the legendary machine that is the 1936 Type 57 SC Atlantic, designed by Jean Bugatti, one of the most beautiful Bugattis ever made. A car that embodies Bugatti's pioneering spirit and passion for perfection. What a pleasure it was to take this venerable machine through the picturesque countryside roads of France. Four units of this car were made at the time, including a single all-black version that Jean Bugatti kept for himself. Unfortunately, its whereabouts are a long-standing mystery, as that particular vehicle disappeared during World War II. Or did she? To be honest, this special moment with Bugatti was one of the highlights of my European tour, especially when you know which car they're going to bring next. La Voiture Noire, a direct tribute to that all-black Type 57 SC I just mentioned. One of the most beautiful and most expensive cars in the world. Exclusivity, artistry, performance, and luxury. A car that is undoubtedly a worthy successor to Jean Bugatti's personal masterpiece. I'm pretty sure the man would have loved to see this. Anyway, for me, this was the perfect end to a perfect day. To you festival goers, I hope you'll enjoy driving these as much as I did admiring them in their native land.
The Luxury Chronicles continue. We're staying with Bugatti for one last French spin with a luxurious yet very intimidating car.
glorious French sojourn. I was staying at Bugatti's for another day, and as the icing on the cake, Bugatti served me one last exclusive piece of art on a plate. The Bugatti Vision GT. Another car originally designed for the video game industry that made it to the real world, for my pleasure and yours. If you're currently driving this car, and I believe you are, be cautious. This car may be a jewel. Once awakened, she becomes a beast. Day 4 of my glorious French sojourn. I was staying at Bugatti's for another day, and as the icing on the cake, Bugatti served me one last exclusive piece of art on a plate. The Bugatti Vision GT. Another car originally designed for the video game industry that made it to the real world, for my pleasure and yours. If you're currently driving this car, and I believe you are, be cautious. This car may be a jewel. Once awakened, she becomes a beast. With that, my time with Bugatti and the French section of my tour were coming to an end. My next destination, Germany.
This was a dive into French car haute couture. You're now entering the second part of this luxury vehicle experience, still narrated by our archivist. So next stop, Germany. A very special German car has been prepared for you.
After a marvelous French introduction, I was now flying to Germany to pursue my work on the European luxury brands. I was expecting great things from the upcoming meetings. This leg of the journey was a promising one, as I was about to meet my esteemed counterpart at Porsche.
My name is Frank Jung, and I'm responsible here at the Porsche AG for the corporate archive and the car collection. The archive is kind of the memory of the brand, the memory of Porsche. In between the 80 cars we're showing here, the Carrera GT is one of the top stars. Top sports car of its time, a high-performance machine. And it's mainly made by hand.
My luxury chronicles were really shaping up, with one incredible encounter after another. And now, I was about to see Porsche as never before, with a special focus on the Porsche Carrera GT. Talking about German luxury cars without talking about Porsche would be nonsense. It is one of the names that belongs in the pantheon of luxury car culture. Guided by my fellow archivist from Stuttgart, I was being honored with an insider tour of their museum, from which I was getting priceless notes and pictures for my archives and for Motorfest. Among all the jewels that surrounded us, the Carrera GT took a special place in our day. A car born from a streak of Porsche victories, made to compete with the greatest. Top sports car in the 2000s, and dare I say, one of the top sports cars of all time. What a day, and what a car. I couldn't have dreamed of a better way to start my trip in Germany.
It's hard to beat Porsche when it comes to German luxury cars. Well, don't worry. Our archivist and the Motorfest organizers have got you covered. You'll see. Luxury Chronicles Europe, Germany. Second stop, Apollo Automobile.
My Germany tour is officially on. After an incredible first stop in Stuttgart, I had the distinct pleasure of spending a day with Apollo Automobile and an absolute marvel of a car, the Apollo Project Evo. This car, which is still under development as I write these lines, is definitely one of the boldest and most aggressive-looking cars I've seen in my long career. The active aerodynamics, the fins, that rear spoiler, and X-Light signature Everything in this car's design screams, you're getting eaten alive. And this interior, you really have to see it to believe it. Nothing short of a superhero car. There's only one existing prototype at the moment. The one I just got the chance to discover. Note to self, I really must convince Apollo to lend this car to Motorfest for our upcoming luxury cars playlist. Luxury is elegance, fine materials, and high-precision craftsmanship. But it is also the freedom to embrace a hardline approach and go all the way.
After Porsche and Apollo, our archivist was only halfway through his European journey. In the next event, we'll hear what he had to say about his seventh stop, a day at Audi, with a focus on a luxury racing car. Get ready to step in the world of gentleman drivers.
My trip was getting me to dig even deeper into German car culture. The people from Audi were now expecting me in the beautiful town of Ingolstadt in Bavaria. The car that they had prepared for me, and the one you, driver, should be driving when you get these notes, was a great surprise and a great addition to our luxury vehicle experience. The 2020 Audi R8 LMS GT2. A true racing car, as it was built for a very specific Grand Touring competition, the GT2 European Series. Yet also a true luxury car, as the GT2 event is in fact a particular championship designed for amateur pay drivers, a racing category for what we call the gentleman drivers. A category in which this Audi R8 is queen. My trip was getting me to dig even deeper into German car culture. The people from Audi were now expecting me in the beautiful town of Ingolstadt in Bavaria. car that they had prepared for me, and the one you, driver, should be driving when you get these notes, was a great surprise and a great addition to our luxury vehicle experience. The 2020 Audi R8 LMS GT2. True racing car, as it was built for a very specific Grand Touring competition, the GT2 European Series. Yet also a true luxury car, as the GT2 event is in fact a particular championship designed for amateur pay drivers, a racing category for what we call the gentleman drivers. A category in which this Audi R8 is queen. R8 LMS GT2, a car that was first introduced at Goodwood's Festival of Speed. One might wonder why.
Welcome back! For the next event of our Luxury Chronicles playlist, the Archivist relates his stop at Mercedes, and you'll get to drive yet another extremely powerful car. Looks like luxury often goes together with mean performance in Germany.
last day in Germany led me to Mercedes for yet another thrilling ride. My ultimate appointment in this country was set with the breathtaking Mercedes AMG 1. The one and only, as Mercedes would say. Like all the German machines I had the pleasure to admire over the course of my trip, the Mercedes AMG 1 was indubitably on the powerful side. That's an understatement, as the One was built from the dream of bringing Formula One technology to the road. A dream that was meant to come true. Everything in this car screams Formula One. Powertrain, materials, interior. And I believe world champion Lewis Hamilton himself helped Mercedes in the development of this car. To the driver who'll get behind the wheel of this machine in the festival, you're probably not ready. My German trip was ending wonderfully with this Mercedes AMG 1. I was content and ready to move on to the last part of my trip.
When I crashed, I was completely lost. And then I remember that I picked up my bike super fast, and when I started again, I was 10 times more motivated than before, and I passed the other guys, and they were actually faster than me. But then because I crashed, I had so much motivation to come back from that. And then, yeah, it was a super cool memory because I had also the first trophy of this race. And I remember the adrenaline that this race...
Here you are. You're going for a nice and chill ride. Pay attention, find your way, reach the destination.
gave me was something super, super special.
Would it be correct saying that you guys both lived in quite rural areas, so it kind of helped give you a type of terrain that you could train on?
Yeah, like I lived on like 40 acres on the house, and so that and
After a roller coaster of a trip through France and Germany, My luxury car pilgrimage was bringing me back to my home, Great Britain. My first encounter alone was enough to justify the trip, as I was about to meet yet another fascinating individual.
My name's Stuart Wood. I'm Chief Engineer at Triumph. We're in the Triumph Factory Visitor Experience here in Hinckley. It's a great display of motorbikes. If I had to pick just one bike, it's going to have to be the Rocket 3. It's got high performance, very high capability, high specification, really stunning looks. It really is phenomenal.
A delightful meeting that would be followed by other great surprises from my homeland. My European journey was slowly coming to an end. Yet I still had so much to see to complete my luxury chronicles. Starting with a keenly anticipated stop in Hinckley.
We pay a lot of attention to the detail and how well the bike works.
And a special rendezvous with the Triumph Rocket 3R. Cloudy grey skies and damp asphalt. I was back home, no doubt. And I couldn't be happier. I had a whole day with Triumph ahead of me, surrounded by passionate people to guide me through their motorcycle universe. Stuart Wood, concept engineer, had shared with me everything you could ever want to know about Triumph. Their 100 years of existence, the attention to detail, the perfect combination of performance and visual design. Fascinating. This Rocket 3. Big and powerful, with a remarkable 2.5-litre engine, but still easy to ride. An extreme motorcycle with a huge presence. A Triumph bike through and through. British craftsmanship, style, the passion of a whole biker community. This was shaping up to be another highlight of this European trip. All I could do is enjoy the moment. raw performance has never looked as good as it does on a Triumph. I believe that's what they call character.
The podcast is back on. Our guest still has plenty of things to say.
Yeah, like I lived on like 40 acres on the house, and so
Our
that,
luxury car exhibition moves forward with another iconic British manufacturer.
and grass and hills and stuff. So,
The car we'll be focusing on in this event is again special in many ways.
and then
Get to the event tag and you'll see Europe has still plenty in store to surprise you.
and I was fortunate enough that we had like 300 acres of bush and forest behind the apple farm. So we had events there, like enduro races there. So I got to grow up and watch this and then train on these tracks and practice on this property we had from the family. So I was super lucky, but there's definitely no desert where I live, and the situation I'm in now, I have to drive like 5-6 hours to find some desert in Australia is my closest. But you know, luckily in Australia there's a lot of sand and a lot of desert out there. So yeah, I'm lucky. I still haven't even had time to venture out in the desert much in Australia because we're always traveling around and doing other things.
Can you describe to me your bike? I mean, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What's unique about it?
The engine is super strong because we have to ride in Dakar. We ride 15 days with the same engine, so basically it's a super powerful engine, and you feel it super strong. Also in the vibration and everything is a lot of power to go through the desert. And also as a design is one for me is the best design we have it because it's super cool with all the colors and it fits super nice, and I think it matches the desert colors. And of course one of the most important parts is also the suspension, because we have to set up the suspension for all kind of terrain. We are not motocross riders or enduro riders that you can put a setup for a specifically condition. We have to set up the bike for dunes, rocks, vegetation, mud, piste, fast, slow. So it's many different terrains. So you have to be super precise on the suspension. That is one of the most important parts of the bike.
And Danny, what if you were to describe your bike to somebody, what would you say?
We'll start off with the exhaust pipe, because that's what's getting the most beaten up all day. Is the throttle stuck on pretty much all day through the desert, and it's just popping through the dunes, barking through the dunes like an angry dog. So it's really cool. It's a straight through exhaust. It's not like your normal motocross bike where the exhaust comes sort of across the middle of the bike. This one goes under the frame and then down low and then comes up and hangs out the back right near the rear fuel tank. So it's straight through. There's no baffles in there, no filters. It's just straight loud noise. So that's really cool. But yeah, we have one other thing that's with our bike that's pretty easy to see that's different to any other motorbike is the navigation tower on the front. Now we have a digital roadbook on the front, so that's how we navigate through the desert. And it's like a windshield on the front, like a MotoGP bike. It's like a windbreak for us, so it throws the air over our helmet when we're riding fast, and then helps our body weight as well, so we're not getting pushed back by the wind.
I think that's one of the most impressive things. You know, I went to the Dakar and we were in the bivouac, and this was like probably 2-3 years ago now, and I could not believe that they had like manual road bike maps. So it was like giving the instructions of where you had to go, but it was on like a roll of paper or something. And I was watching the guys do that, and it was one of the most impressive things that this was kind of like a manual road map, right, a road book as to where you were going.
Yeah, so that's this year they've just changed the system. So now for us riders, it's kind of the digital, and before was the paper. So we just got a big paper scroll in the morning, and yeah, we had to shove this in the front of the bike.
Can you explain it for someone who would be riding your bike in the game, like just how difficult?
My next British stop was McLaren, with the most exclusive McLaren there is, the Elva. The extreme expression of what a McLaren car can be. Fifth in the McLaren Ultimate Series, a line that encompasses McLaren's most advanced design, engineering, and performance. Like McLaren says, the Elva is a car that needs no destination, designed to deliver nothing but the purest possible driving experience. Light, powerful, split-second agility, with no roof, no windshield. This is a car that plays with your senses and builds a connection between the driver, the car, and the elements. A car directly in line with the experimental legacy of the founder of the brand himself, Bruce McLaren. Renowned driver and engineer, always looking to push aerodynamics further. The Elva is a beautiful tribute to that heritage. I wasn't initially sure I'd have the time for this detour at McLaren, but I was so glad I made the trip.
All right, let's keep talking.
Why?
Can you tell somebody, explain it for someone who would be riding your bike in the game, like just how difficult is it when you're following?
May I be of assistance, driver? Jaguar is a brand that it's hard to go around when it comes to gorgeous British cars. That's why it had to be part of this tour. The car that we've selected for you now, the Jaguar CX-75 concept.
Jaguar CX-75 concept. C stands for concept, X for experimental, and 75 as a tribute to Jaguar's 75th anniversary. A breathtaking hypercar that unfortunately couldn't be mass-produced. Yet this prototype alone is quite the celebrity in the luxury car world. An elegant and avant-garde design so popular when it came out that she received the Louis Vuitton prize at the Paris Mondial de l'Automobile in 2010. Star of the 007 movie Spectre, along with her co-star, the Aston Martin DB10. Another British concept. Quite the life for a concept car, isn't it? Star, muse, prestigious prize winner. And this is only scratching the surface of what this car could have been.
Luxury Chronicles, new chapter. You know what to do. Drive to the tag and get back to your European journey with another pillar of British luxury, Bentley.
Bentley. Could I really go on a tour of the greatest luxury car brands of Europe without stopping by this prestigious manufacturer's headquarters in Crewe? Impossible. So, there I was, at Bentley, face to face with splendid machines, and notably, the Bentley Mulliner Bacala. The Bacala is gorgeous and impressive from afar, but also incredibly well crafted from up close. I was dealing with the elite British luxury and design refinement there. Extremely exclusive. Only 12 units have been made. Produced by Mulliner, the oldest coach builder in the world, and a serious token of quality. But, needless to say, such prestige comes with a significant price tag. Just like this beautiful day with Bentley, my trip was slowly coming to an end. My next stop will be the last of this Luxury Chronicles journey.
Here we are, the final event of this grand luxury tour. The last brand we're going to talk about may be the most famous of them all. A brand which has clearly become over the years the embodiment of British luxury. The brand is Aston Martin, and the car is the 2024 Aston Martin Vantage. This is the last stop of this voyage around Europe. I hope you'll enjoy it just like our archivist did.
Today was the ultimate day of my European luxury tour. And it wasn't just any day. It was a day with Aston Martin. I had decided from the very beginning to save Aston Martin for last. For this brand is quite unique when it comes to famous British cars. Aston, as a tribute to the Aston Hill race from the early 20th century, and Martin, from Lionel Martin, co-founder of the brand. The name Aston Martin now resonates in a very special way everywhere around the world. It embodies the British modern luxury touch, so to speak. Cars that are fast, cars that are beautifully crafted, and on top of that, cars that now come with an unmissable pop culture connection that started with the appearance of the DB5 in the Goldfinger movie in 1964. As a result, Aston Martin cars nowadays have undoubtedly become some of the most desirable cars in the world. My definitive treat during this day was being able to see the new Aston Martin Vantage. Freshly released, this brilliant vehicle is yet further proof that British luxury is still very much relevant, with a bright future ahead of it. This is it, the end of my European luxury tour, with each stop more enlightening than the last. A fruitful journey for my archives and for you drivers of Motorfest.
You've yet to claim your reward, driver. This was our Archibald's Grand European Tour, and this was your Luxury Chronicles experience. Your reward is waiting for you at the container in our luxury estate. And your prize this time is prize money. Because luxury is also the freedom to choose.